Welcome to the Template Care Academy. In this video, we shall be studying ratios and percentages. Ratios and percentages are alternative forms of expressing fractions. So this is a continuation of that general topic: fractions, decimals, ratios, percentages. Let's get into it very quickly. Ratios are alternative ways of expressing fractions. You have the fraction x over y. It represents the ratio. So the fraction x over y can be represented as the ratio x ratio y. That's a quick way to represent a fraction, an alternative way. And of course, we can apply ratios in distribution of items amongst groups. So a ratio is simply an alternative way of expressing a fraction. X and y are actually whole numbers. They are real numbers. So if we have an example, 2:5, this actually represents the fraction 2/5. The ratio is an alternative way of representing a fraction. Okay, so now we can start looking at illustrative examples very quickly. So let us see the first example. 40 oranges are to be shared among 3 persons in the ratio 1:5. Find each person's share. We get straight off into it. The first person's share, number of oranges to be shared, 40 oranges. And the share ratio is already given, 1:5. So let us begin to use the proportions in each case. So the first person's share, the share that belongs to the first person, is simply obtained by using the proportion that represents the first person's share. The proportion is the part of the ratio representing the first person, which is 1. So we have 1 divided by the sum of the ratios, 1 plus 2, that gives us 3, and 3 plus 5 gives us 8. So 1 out of 8 parts belongs to the first person. So multiplied by the total number of items to be shared, and that is 40. And now we can easily find this. 8 divides into 40 5 times. And ultimately, that means the first person has 5 items, 5 oranges. It's as simple as that. Very simple. The second share can be obtained in a similar manner. The second share is obtained by using the proportion that belongs to the second person, which means the part of the ratio belonging to the second person is 2. So we can take 2 divided by the sum of the ratio, which is 8, multiplied by the total number of oranges to be shared, that is 40. And now we can easily find this by dividing through. 8 can divide. 8 check through into 40, that's 5 times. And now 2 multiplied by 5 gives us 10 oranges. 10 oranges. Beautiful. Already, we can skip this pattern of calculation and find the number of oranges belonging to the third person by simply adding 5 and 10. 5 plus 10 gives us 15. And 15 taken away from 40 gives us 25 oranges. But if we follow the trend, we have the third person's share, simply the third share. The third share is equal to the proportion, that is the part of the ratio, which is 5, divided by the total number, sum of the ratios, which is 8. This is the proportion. 5 out of 8 parts we give the third person's share, multiplied by the total number of oranges, which is 40. And now we can check through. 8 divides into 40 5 times. And now the final answer, 5 times 5, that's 25 oranges. Very simple. And now we can test for correctness by adding the total number of oranges. 5 plus 10, that's 15. And 15 plus 25 gives us 40 as expected. A total of 40 oranges was shared out. Very simple. All right, let's take on the second example. And now we can clear to take the second example. That's right. So take off all the drawings so that we can move on. Second example, an amount of money was shared among Ralph, Dale, and Joy in the ratio 2:3:4. Ralph got $6,000. And how much was shared out? How much did Roy get? Okay, Now we have the sharing ratio already. The sharing ratio is given to us, and that is 2:3:4. The sharing ratio. Beautiful. Now, let the total amount shared out be represented by a variable that we can find. Let the total amount shared out. Let the total amount shared out. Let the total amount shared out be X dollars. X, where X is the unknown. It's an unknown amount, we need to find it. And that's the solution to problem A. Now we make use of this extra information. Ralph got $6,000. And the portion of the ratio representing Ralph's share, Ralph is the first name mentioned. So it means 2 in the ratio belongs to Ralph. That means 2 out of the sum of the ratio. 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. 2 out of 9 parts belongs to Ralph. So multiply by the total amount shared, which is X, gives the amount Ralph got, $6,000. So $6,000. Now we have set up the required equation. So to set X free, we simply cross multiply 9 and 2 away from the left-hand side. That implies that X will be equal to cross 9 upwards. So 9 upwards and then cross 2 downwards. This means multiplying both sides by the reciprocal of 2/9 so that we can clear 2/9 from the left-hand side. And that will now be multiplied by 6,000. That's right. That's right. And now we can easily solve this. So 2 divides into 6, that's 3. So we have 3,000 resulting here. And now X is going to be 9 times 3, 27 in dollars, of course. And the extra 3 zeros can be carried on. So we have 27,000. Final answer. The strike through is not intended. So the answer is 27,000 naira. So 27,000 naira. That's right. Very simple. Now let us look at the second part of the calculation. How much did Roy get? Now we have the total amount shared. So Roy's share can easily be found. Roy's share is the part of the ratio belonging to Roy. Roy is actually the third name mentioned. So ratio 4 belongs to Roy. So we're talking about 4 out of sum of the ratio, 9, as we saw it. 2 plus 3 is 5 plus 4, that's 9. Multiplied by the total amount shared out. The total amount shared out has been determined, $27,000. So we have 27,000. And now we can easily evaluate this. So 9 can divide into 27. 9 divides 1. 9 in 27, that's 3. Now we have 3 multiplying 4 here. 3 times 4 gives us in dollars 12. And now the extra 3 zeros can be carried. $12,000, our final answer. Very simple. That's right. We move on to the next question. Yes. And for this, we have to clear all drawings or traces. Now let's get into this. So we have 3 people share $60,000 in the ratio 2:5:7. Find the difference between the highest and the least share. Beautiful. This is a very interesting question. So let's just see the sharing ratio. Consider the sharing ratio. That's the way to go. The starting point is to consider the sharing ratio. The sharing ratio is 3:5:7. This is the sharing ratio. Now, in this ratio, of course, 3 represents the least share. That's the least share, of course, while 7 represents the highest share. Beautiful. With the recognition of the least and the highest share, you can see that the difference between them is the 60. They share, okay, the three people share $60,000. Find the difference between the least and the highest share. Okay, let's see that. That can be obtained in one stroke, of course. Difference between the highest and the least share. Let's go. Difference between the highest and the least share. The highest and least share. That can easily be taken, of course. And that is going to be, now we'll take advantage of the difference in the ratio. The ratio representing the highest share is 7. That representing the least share is actually 3. So 7 minus 3 gives us the difference we're looking for. 7 minus 3 gives us 4. And we're going to make use of that. So 4 divided by the sum of the ratio, 3 plus 5, that is 8, plus 7, and that is 15. 15. Correct. So we make use of that. Multiply by the total amount shared out. Total amount shared out, $60,000. And that's it, 60,000. And with that, we can have the answer right away. 15 can divide into 60 4 times. And now our final answer in dollars, 4 times 4, 16. And then this extra 3 zeros can be carried through, $16,000. Final answer. We have the next question. 3 people share a business profit in the ratio 2:5, ratio 8. The difference between the highest and the least share is $54,000. How much was the business profit? Similar to the last question we saw. So let's get into it. So let us see. The sharing ratio, once again, is the way to go. Recognition of the sharing ratio. Take up the sharing ratio. The sharing ratio is 2:5, ratio 8. And here we can see very quickly, 2 represents, of course, the least share, while 8 will represent, of course, the highest share. And with this recognition, we have solved the calculation. So the difference between the highest and the least share is $54,000. How much was the business profit? Let us recognize or represent the business profit with a variable. Let's the business profit be X in dollars. Now we're looking out to find X. Let the business profit be X in dollars. Now, difference between the highest and the least share, let's go for it. Highest and least share, the difference is $54,000, and therefore, highest minus least share is actually 54,000. Highest minus least share is given by the difference in the ratios. So we have it right here. We have it right there. 8 minus 2 gives us 6. And now we're going to rely on that. So highest minus least share, which is actually $54,000. So we have 54,000. $54,000 is the highest minus least share. It's going to be that difference, 6. We have it. Yes, 6 right there. 6 divided by the sum of the ratio. Sum of the ratio is straightforward there. It's actually 2 plus 5, that's 7. And 7 plus 8, that gives us 15. And we're making use of that. So divided by 15. Multiplied by the total amount shared out. The total amount shared out is X. So what are we doing in essence? It means 54,000 equals this expression. So let us break it down. 54,000 equals 6x divided by 15. And we can easily find x from here. Easy. So we can say x straight away, multiplying both sides by the reciprocal of the coefficient of x, which means 15 up there, 6 down there. And that means we have 15 divided by 6, now multiplied by 54,000. That's right. So, and now we can solve this. 6 can divide into 54 9 times. And that's it. So x is going to be 15 multiplied by 9. 9 times 5 is 45. Thus we have 5, taking 4 over, and 9 times 1 is 9, plus incoming 4 gives 13, 135. And now we have the chain of 3 zeros here, so 135,000, which means the business profit was actually $135,000. So the profit is actually $135,000, our final answer. And that's very simple. Very simple. So notice this main point here, how to set a variable free when a fraction is a coefficient. Simply multiply both sides by the reciprocal of that fraction. 15 goes up, 6 comes down. Or you can take a step further if you want, if you love that. But that's not as smart as this. Cross multiplying both sides, you have our 6x there equals 54,000 multiplied by 15. And now you can decide to make x the subject of the formula, dividing both sides by 6. So you can have 54,000 multiplied by 15 and now divided by 6, which gives the same answer, $135,000. Very simple. Let us move on. Now it is important that we take these steps now. Subscribe to this channel if you have not already subscribed. This channel contains lots of resources, inspirational videos on this channel. So inspirational videos to charge you up and to build you up mentally, strengthen you mentally. And of course, teachings of this nature in mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology. These are the science subjects. And of course, your favorite game, the game of chess. The game of chess. So subscribe and above all, turn the notification bell on so that you know when videos like this are released. Thank you for doing that. We move on. Now we're in percentages. Percentages express ratios and fractions in a different form. We have already learned that a fraction contains a numerator and a denominator. X over y is a fraction. A ratio is an alternative form of expressing the fraction. So this is also x ratio y. We just studied this. Now the third one, percentages. A percentage is a fraction of 100. A fraction of 100. So x over y expressed as a percentage simply means take x over y and multiply by 100. And now the percent sign is usually appended by the result. Let us get into it very quickly. That's right. We have to clear my drawings. Okay. Now express each of the following as a percentage. Let's get into it. First one. We have to express 2 over 5 as a percentage. So let's get into it. 2 over 5. We have to multiply each one by 100. So we have 2 over 5 as a percentage. Simply multiply by 100. Over 5 as a percentage means we take 2 over 5 and multiply by 100. So multiply this by 100 to convert it into a percentage. Let's go. 5 can divide now very quickly. 5 divides 1. 5 divides into 10. That's 2. Divide into 0, and that's 0. So we have 20 times 2 gives us 40. and we append the percent sign by the side of the result. Our final answer. Very simple. Let us get the second one. This is a decimal, so 0.135. Convert to percent by multiplying by 100. And we have been through this in our video on decimals. Multiplying by 100 means a shift of the decimal point forward twice. 1, 2, the new position of the decimal point. So this gives us 13.5. And now we append percent sign by the side of the result. Very simple. Let's move on. All right. Now we're going into the mixed problems. So let us consider how these are done. Oh, beautiful. A man spent 1/4 of his salary on food and 2/5 of the remaining on clothes. What percentage of his salary is left? We learn to use the whole salary. The whole salary is represented by a whole number. So let the salary be represented by one whole. Let's the salary. If we don't want to use a variable like x in the solution, we can work this way. Let the salary be represented by one. So the fraction that represents the whole salary is 1. 1/1 is the salary. 1/1, which means 1. The fraction representing the salary is 1 out of 1. The whole salary is 1. That's right. Let's now find how much has been spent on food, which is 1/4. 2/5 of the remainder on clothes. Let us see. So the fraction spent on food. The fraction spent on food is already 1/4. And from here, we can find the remaining fraction. Fraction remaining can be found from here. So let us see fraction remaining. Fraction remaining is going to be the original fraction representing the whole salary, which is 1, minus the fraction already spent on food, which is 1/4. And you see, in our video on fractions, we have discussed this as a quick technique. 1 minus any fraction means the denominator minus numerator over the denominator. So 1 minus 1/4 is 4 minus 1, which is 3/4. This is the fraction remaining. Now we have 2/5 of the remainder was spent on clothes. Now we can pick up the amount or the fraction spent on clothes. Now, fraction spent on clothes. The fraction. You need to see my video on fractions so that you can learn this quick technique that happened right there. Fraction spent on clothes. Fraction spent on clothes is simply 2/5 of the remainder. That is 2/5 of the fraction remaining, which is 3/4. And we know of, in our video on fraction, we know of translates into times. So this is easily going to translate into 2/5 multiplied by 3/4. And we can simplify this. 2 divides into 4, and that is 2. So we can simplify this into 3, prevailing in the numerator, divided by 5 times 2, 10 in the denominator. Now we have 2 important things. We have number 1, the amount or the fraction spent on food. And we have number 2, the fraction spent on clothes. Now we can determine the total fraction spent. The total fraction spent can easily be found. Total fraction spent. Total fraction spent, both food and clothes, is the sum of the fraction. So we have on food 1/4 plus on clothes 3/10. Once again, in the video on fractions, we've already been through this. You can find this in one stroke. Yes, of course. We can find this in one stroke. So you need to study that video. We want to find the LCM by, go ahead to say 10 multiplied by 1, the double crossing technique. 10 times 1, that is 10. I'm holding the 10 in abeyance. 4 times 3, that's 12. That 12 plus the 10. 10 times 1 is 10. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 10, and that gives us 22. Divided by, multiply the bottom, 4 times 10, and that is 40. As you can see. And we can simplify this by dividing by 2. 2 divides into 22 gives us 11. And 2 divides into 40 gives us 20. Now, what percentage of the salary is left? And we already have the total fraction spent. So let us see the fraction left. The fraction left. The fraction left can easily be found. Fraction left is simply, let's go for the fraction left, the original fraction, that is the whole salary, minus the fraction spent. Minus the fraction spent. The fraction spent is actually 11 over 20. Once again, you can get around this. 1 minus any fraction, bottom minus top over bottom. 20 minus 11, that gives us 9, divided by the same 20. Beautiful. And now this is the fraction left. We want the percentage of the salary left, which means simply convert 9 over 20 into percentage. Let us finish that off here, or without losing any of our writing. Simply 9 divided by 20. Convert to percent, multiply by 100. 20 can divide into 100 5 times. And now 9 times 5 gives us the required answer, 45%. Very simple and interesting. Right, we move on. Now, this is a very interesting question. 4 gallons of spirit containing 10% water are added to 6 gallons of another spirit containing 20% water. What percentage of the mixture is water? This is a beautiful question. There are 2 spirits here, 2 varieties or brands of spirits. The first one, spirits containing 10% water. The second one, spirits containing 20% water. That's right. Beautiful. Now let us determine the amount of water in each brand of spirit. In the first spirit, spirit A, 10% of water in 4 gallons. So 10% of 4 gallons. Let's see. So amount of water in spirit A. Amount of water in the first spirit. Amount of water in the first spirit. And the first spirit contains 10% of water. So let's see 10% of 4 gallons. You can see the first spirit, 4 gallons. 4 gallons in gallons. This is the number of gallons of water in the first spirit, and we need to evaluate this. So this is going to give us 10% means 10 divided by 100. The percent sign means divided by 100. Of translating to times 4. And we can easily find this. So let us go 0, checks through. And now we can have 2 divides into 4. That is 2 divides into 10, and that is 5. So we have resulting in a fraction 2 over 5 gallons in the first spirit. Gallons in the first spirit represents water. 2 over 5 gallons. Let's see the amount of water in the second spirit. In a similar manner, amount of water in the second spirit can be found. Amount of water in the second spirit. Let's go for it. What percent of the second spirit is water? Right there, 20%. So we have 20% of the amount of the second spirit, 6 gallons. Second spirit, 6 gallons. So of 6 gallons. And let us evaluate this the way we did the first one. 20% means 20 divided by 100. Multiply by 6 gallons. So let's divide through. 0 checks through. 2 divides into 10, and that's 5. So we have actually 6 over 5 gallons. That's right, 6/5 gallons. This is beautiful. And now we want the total amount of water when the spirits are combined. They were mixed. 4 gallons of spirits containing 10% water are added. So they were mixed. So total amount of water in the spirits combined. Total amount of water when the spirits are combined by mixing is going to be the amount of water in the first spirit plus the amount of water in the second spirit. And let's see that amount of water in the first spirit is clearly shown, and that is it right there, 2/5. Amount of water in the second spirit is also known, 6/5. We're going to add these two to get the total amount of water in the two spirits combined. So we have 2/5 added to 6/5. And check the video on fractions. I highlighted this when the numerators are actually when the denominators are the same. Look at that 5 and look at that 5. You can take advantage of that and reduce the volume of work to be done. So this is simply add up the numerators, 2 plus 6, and that gives us 8, divided by the common denominator, which is 5. 8/5 gallons. That's right. Very simple. 8/5 gallons. This is the total amount of water. Now the final blow. What percentage of the mixture is water? What percentage of the mixture is water? Now for this, we need to know the total amount of the mixture. Then we need to use the total amount of water. So I'm going to have to take away these traces now, but take note, we have 8/5 as the answers we're going to use. We already have 8/5 as gallons of water, and we have to find the addition, 4 gallons, 6 gallons. Let's take all these traces away. So we have total amount of water, very quickly, total amount of water. Total amount of water in the spirits combined, we have it already, 8/5 gallons. That's right. And now, total amount of spirits, quantity of spirits, total quantity. I will use the amount of continuity. The quantity of spirits is by combining 4 gallons, 6 gallons. Let's go. So we have 4 gallons plus 6 gives us 10 gallons. That's right, 10 gallons. Now we want the percentage of water in the mixture, and that is easily taken, percentage of water. It's simply amount of water in the mixture divided by the total amount of the mixture and now multiplied by 100. And substitution of given values, amount of water, which is 8/5, divided by total amount, 10 gallons, and then multiplied by 100. And if you study my video on fractions, we've been through this, mobile denominators. The denominator in the fraction above the division bar can sink downwards to join the denominator. And that's going to give us 8/5 down there, 5 times 10, 50. Now multiply by 100. And we have the final answer by simply saying 50 divides into 100, and that's 2, to give us 8 times 2, 16%. Very simple and interesting. That's right. Let's move on. Let's study this problem carefully. All right. Now we can get the traces out of the way. The ratio of the price of an item A to the price of another item B was A ratio B. If the price of A increased by 10% and that of B by 15%, find the ratio of their new prices. I'm going to create a short video to solve this calculation. So moving to the next one. And same for this, I'm going to create a short video for this. All right. Now it's your turn to practice, and I have practice for you. I really have practice for you. So that's the only way you can become an expert. And here we are. So solve these calculations. That's the only way you can become an expert. Yeah, more practice. And you have more. That's right. And now you have the answer keys also. So make sure you have solved the calculations before you look at the answer keys. That's right. So mastery and expertise are product of persistence and consistency in practice. Yes, you want to become an expert, you have to practice. There is no shortcut. Practice and practice and practice. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being part of this channel. Please subscribe, turn on the notification bell, follow me on all these platforms. Check out my YouTube channel, Temple AK Academy. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, chess.com, and LinkedIn. And of course, you can send me a WhatsApp message. Look out for me on Amazon, Temple AK, as an author, and then you'll be able to access some of my written books. Thank you for being part of this session. Until I come your way in another video, this is your special coach. My name is Temple AK. Keep up the practice and remain solid.